Fire made us human. Fossil fuels made us modern. Now we need a new fire that makes us safe, secure, and durable. Rocky Mountain Institute, therefore, aims to shift the United States, for starters, completely from oil and coal to efficient use and renewable energy. And our peer-reviewed grand synthesis of how to do that, called Reinventing Fire, to be released in the next couple of days, details how saving and displacing fossil fuels can work better and cost less than buying and burning them. 4/5 of today's energy still comes from fossil fuels. They built our civilization, created our wealth, enriched the lives of billions. But their rising costs to our security, economy, health, environment are eroding and starting to outweigh their benefits. So we need a new fire. Well, this is what our energy system looks like today. It's disconnected, aging, and inefficient, and it needs refurbishing. Switching from the old fire to the new fire takes two big shifts in oil and electricity, and they're distinct. Less than 1% of our oil makes electricity, but 95% of our coal makes electricity. Oil and power plants each release 2/5 of fossil carbon. Nearly 3/4 of electricity powers buildings, nearly 3/4 of oil fuels transportation, and the rest of the electricity in oil-run factories. So very efficient vehicles, buildings, and factories save oil and coal and natural gas that can displace both of them. The system we envisage for 2050 is efficient, connected, and distributed. Super efficient autos, buildings, and factories will rely on a secure, modern, resilient electricity system, and there will be no need for oil or coal or even nuclear energy once efficiency and renewables end our addiction to fossil fuels. Creating the core industries of this new energy era could cost $5 trillion less in net present value than business as usual, and yet support a 158% bigger U.S. economy. And this transition needs no new inventions, no new federal taxes, mandates, subsidies, or laws, and running Washington gridlock, and it assumes that carbon emissions and all other externalities are worth zero, a conservatively low estimate. So let me say that again. I'm going to tell you how the United States can get completely off oil and coal, $5 trillion cheaper, requiring no act of Congress, and led by business for profit. So whether you care most about profits and jobs and competitive advantage, or about national security, or about environmental stewardship and health and climate, reinventing fire makes sense and makes money. General Eisenhower allegedly said that expanding the boundaries of a tough problem makes it soluble by encompassing more options and more synergies. So reinventing fire integrates all four energy-using sectors: transportation, buildings, industry, and electricity. And it integrates four kinds of innovation: technology, design, policy, and business strategy. These combinations yield far more than the sum of their parts, especially in deeply disruptive business opportunities. Now, oil costs upwards of 1/6 of our GDP, directly and indirectly, and automobiles use 3/5 of our mobility fuel. So how can we make autos go without oil? 2/3 of the energy needed to move a typical car is caused by its weight. For the past quarter century, though, epidemic obesity has made our 2-ton steel autos gain weight twice as fast as we have. But ultralight, ultra-strong materials like carbon fiber composites can make dramatic weight savings snowball and can make autos simpler and cheaper to build. Lighter and more slippery autos need less force to move them, so their propulsion system shrinks. Such vehicle fitness then makes electric autos affordable because their batteries or fuel cells get smaller, lighter, and cheaper. So their sticker price will fall to about today's level with far lower driving costs. These innovations can transform automakers from wringing little incremental savings out of Victorian steel stamping and engine technology to the steeply falling costs of 3 mutually reinforcing technologies: advanced ultralight materials, manufacturing, and electric propulsion. Sales can grow and prices drop faster with a temporary fee bait, Rebates for efficient new autos paid for by fees on inefficient ones. And in its first 2 years, the biggest of 5 European fee-based programs has tripled the speed of improving auto efficiency. The resulting shift to electric autos will be as game-changing as shifting from small refinements in mechanical typewriters to the dramatic Moore's Law-driven gains in computers. Computers and electronics are now America's biggest industry. Typewriter makers have vanished. So vehicle fitness opens a new automotive competitive strategy to double oil savings in 40 years and make affordable the electrification that can displace all the rest of the oil. Leaders will beat laggards, just as Toyota's jump into hybrids 14 years ago is still challenging competitors to catch up, only faster because hybrids have only one learning curve, not 3. America could lead this next automotive revolution. So far, the leader is Germany. This year, Volkswagen announced 2013 production of this 230-mile-a-gallon carbon fiber plug-in hybrid car. BMW announced 2013 production of this carbon fiber electric car and confirmed that its carbon fiber is paid for by its fewer batteries. And BMW CEO said, "We do not intend to be a typewriter maker." Audi claimed it'll beat them both by a year. Even faster and cheaper manufacturing technologies, like the way we made this carbon fiber carbon cap in less than a minute, can scale to automotive speed and cost with aerospace performance and ultimately save 4/5 of the capital needed for automaking. The same physics and the same business logic apply to bigger vehicles as well. Walmart has saved 60% of the fuel in its heavy truck fleet in the past 5 years, including smarter logistics. That technological fuel saving can rise to 2/3, and together with doubled and tripled efficiency airplanes, can save nearly $1 trillion. Today's military revolution in energy efficiency will also speed these civilian advances, much as military R&D has already given us the internet and GPS and the jet engine and microchip industries that have all transformed the civilian economy. As we decided to build vehicles better, we could also use them smarter. If this graph of morning and evening rush hours, traffic congestion, were in electricity load shape, we would throw a lot of IT-enabled pricing and smart grid stuff and demand response at it to try to flatten it out. But not yet doing this for road traffic is wasting many billions of dollars a year through idle people, idle roads, and idle vehicles. But now we have 4 powerful ways to cut needless driving. We can charge real-time driving costs per mile, not per gallon, and use smart IT to enhance transit and empower car and ride sharing. We can allow lucrative smart growth real estate models so more people are already where they want to be, and we can use intelligent transportation systems to make traffic free-flowing. And together, these proven methods can give us the same or better access with 46 to 84% less driving, saving another $0.4 trillion, plus another $0.3 trillion saved from smarter use of trucks. So 40 years hence, a far more mobile U.S. economy can use no oil, saving $4 trillion. Those 125 to 240 mile per gallon equivalent autos will be able to use any mixture of electricity, hydrogen fuel cells, and advanced biofuels. Trucks and airplanes can realistically use advanced biofuels or hydrogen. Trucks could even burn natural gas, but no vehicles will need oil. Any biofuels the U.S. might need, at most 3 million barrels a day, can be made without using cropland and without degrading soil fertility or harming the climate. Our team speeds up these kinds of oil savings by what we call institutional acupuncture. We figure out where the business logic is congested, not flowing properly, and stick little needles in it to get it flowing, working with partners like Walmart and Ford and the Pentagon. And I think most of the 6 sectors we need to transform are already at or near their tipping point. In fact, a couple of years ago, mainstream analysts started to see peak oil not in supply but in demand. Deutsche Bank even forecast that 5 years from now, world oil use will peak and head down. In short, oil is becoming uncompetitive even at low prices before it becomes unavailable even at high prices. But electrified autos don't need to burden the electric system. Rather, when smart autos exchange electricity and information through smart buildings with smart grids, their added flexibility and storage will help the grid to integrate solar and wind power. So electrified autos actually converge the oil story with our second big story, saving electricity and then making it differently. These twin revolutions promise more numerous and diverse and profound disruptions in electricity than in any other sector, because we've got 21st century technology and speed colliding with 20th and 19th century institutions, rules, and cultures. Of course, changing how we make electricity gets easier if we need less of it, and today it's mostly wasted. The technologies for saving electricity keep improving faster than we install them, so the potential savings keep getting bigger and cheaper. Over the next 40 years, buildings can triple their energy productivity, saving $1.4 trillion net with a 33% internal rate of return. The savings are worth 4 times what they cost. And industry can double its energy productivity with a real internal rate of return of 21%. But there's an even more disruptive innovation we've been cooking up at RMI called integrative design that can boost these savings further and can often make big savings cost less than small or no savings. So instead of diminishing returns to investments in efficiency, you get expanding returns. That's how our retrofit last year is saving over 2/5 of the energy in the Empire State Building, remanufacturing its 6,500 windows on site into super windows that are almost perfect in letting in light without heat, plus better lights and office equipment, cut the peak cooling load by 1/3, and then renovating smaller chillers rather than adding bigger ones saved $17 million of capital cost, helping pay for the other improvements and cutting the payback to just 3 years. Renovating a Chicago glass office tower this way, by the way, can save 3/4 of its energy at lower cost. Integrative design can also increase the $500 billion of conventional energy savings in industry. For example, 3/5 of the world's electricity runs motors, half of that runs pumps and fans, and we can save about half of the motor energy with a 1-year payback by integrating 35 improvements, but even bigger and cheaper savings normally ignored can be captured first. For example, pumps. The biggest use of motors move liquid through pipes. But a typical industrial pumping loop was redesigned to use at least 86% less pumping energy and cost less to build, not by getting better pumps, but just by replacing long, thin, crooked pipes with fat, short, straight pipes. That's how these odd-looking pipes save 69% of the pumping energy, and in our house, 97%, both at lower cost. So what does such savings mean for the electricity that is 60% used in motors? Well, from the coal burned in the power plant to the end use, many successive losses compound, so only 1/10 of the energy in the fuel actually comes out the pipe as flow. But turn those compounding losses around backward into compounding savings from right to left, and every unit of flow or friction you save in the pipe saves 10 units of fuel and cost and pollution and global weirding back at the power plant. And also, as you go back upstream, each component gets smaller and therefore cheaper. Our team has lately found such snowballing energy savings in over $30 billion worth of industrial redesigns, from data centers and chip fabs to mines and refineries. Typically, our retrofit designs save about 30 to 60% of the energy with a 2 or 3 year payback, and in new facilities, more like 40 to 90% with lower capital cost. So as these efficiency gains in buildings and industry start to outpace economic growth, electricity demand actually starts shrinking, even with electrified autos. And this will ease and speed the shift to new sources of electricity, chiefly renewables. China leads renewable generators' explosive growth and plummeting cost. In fact, some Chinese solar module prices heading down here have just dropped off the bottom of the chart in the past few weeks. Solar and wind power are marketplace winners today. And already in a dozen states, private installers, some financed by Google, can put those cheap photovoltaics on your home's roof with no money down and guarantee to beat your utility bill. Such unregulated products can deliver a virtual utility that bypasses power companies, just as cell phones bypassed wireline phone companies. Half of the world's new generating capacity added the past 3 years has been renewable. And last year, renewables, except big hydro, got $151 billion in private capital. They surpassed the installed global nuclear power capacity by adding 60 billion watts, the same capacity as the solar cells that by the end of this year will be manufacturable every year. In contrast, orders for coal and nuclear plants are withering because they cost too much and they have too much financial risk. Reinventing Fire explores 4 electricity futures that differ little in net present value cost, the red box at the upper right, but they differ greatly in risk. Business as usual, or a nuclear and so-called clean coal future, or centralized renewables, or distributed renewables. Of these 4 scenarios, the first one has a high climate risk, the first 2 have high financial and technology risks, the first 3 are vulnerable to cascading and potentially nation-shattering blackouts caused by solar storms or other natural disasters or terrorist attacks. But that risk disappears as this 4th scenario reorganizes the grid into local microgrids that normally interconnect but can stand alone at need. This scenario also manages all the other risks. It costs about the same as business as usual, and it would maximize customer choice, entrepreneurial opportunity, and innovation. Together, efficient use and diverse, dispersed renewable supply are starting to flip the whole electricity system on its head. Traditionally, utilities would build giant coal and nuclear plants and a lot of gas plants and buy a little bit of efficiency of renewables, maybe. And those utilities were rewarded, as they still are in 36 states, for selling you more electricity. But now, especially where regulators reward cutting your bills, the market is shifting massively towards efficiency, renewables, cogeneration, and ways to blend them all together reliably with less transmission and little or no bulk electricity storage. Indeed, 4 German states last year were 43 to 52% wind-powered. And US and European analyses confirm that 80 to 100% renewable electricity is feasible and reliable and cost-effective. These best buys also turn out to be the most effective solutions to climate change, nuclear proliferation, energy insecurity, energy poverty. Now combine the electricity and oil revolutions, efficient buildings and factories, and saving directly burned fuels, and you have the really big story, reinventing fire, where business, enabled and sped by smart policies in mindful markets, can lead the United States completely off oil and coal by 2050, saving $5 trillion, much risk and insecurity, and 82 to 86% of fossil carbon emissions. Our energy future, then, is not fate, but choice, and that choice is very flexible. In 1976, government and industry all insisted that the energy needed to make $1 of GDP could never go down. I heretically suggested it could drop several-fold. That's what happened by 2-fold so far, with more to come. To solve the energy problem, we just needed to enlarge it. The results may at first seem incredible, but as Marshall McLuhan said, only puny secrets need protection. Big discoveries are protected by public incredulity. Rocky Mountain Institute's implementation initiatives are helping smart companies speed this journey. Of course, there is still much old thinking out there. As Oilman Morris Strong said, not all the fossils are in the fuel. But as DuPont's former chairman, Edgar Woolard, reminded us, firms hampered by old thinking won't be a problem because in the long run, they won't be around. What I've described is not simply a once-in-a-civilization business opportunity. It is one of the most profound transformations in the history of our species. Humans are inventing a new fire, not dug from below, but flowing from above, not scarce, but bountiful, not local, but everywhere, not transient, but permanent, not costly, but free. But for a little biofuel grown in ways that sustain and endure, this new fire is flameless. Efficiently used, it can do our work without working our undoing. So please consider how we can together help make the world richer, fairer, cooler, and safer by reinventing fire. Thank you.